Hello, it's fall and I'm ready to make something that my mother used to make when I was younger. It's sweet, it's warm, it's delicious, and I haven't made it in years. So this is going to be my take on Crepe Suzettes. All right, are we ready? Let's get this going. So you're going to need some oranges. Oranges, as many oranges as you can make, several cups of orange juice. All right, you're going to need a grater because we're going to need a lot of zest from the oranges. So you can have one of these or one of these that collects the zest, is very convenient. You're going to need some eggs, depending on your serving. So I'm thinking that for me and Kareem and maybe two other people, I'm going to use 3 eggs. But a lot of times they use 2 eggs. So you need 2 eggs. 2 to 3 eggs. You're going to need some melted butter. You're going to need some vanilla, pure vanilla. You're going to need half a cup of sugar for your batter for the crepes. You can use up to a cup, but I don't want them too sweet, so I'm going to use half a cup of sugar. I'm going to use a cup of flour, and I'm going to use a cup of milk. Or if you want like me, you can use half and half. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is melt the butter. I mean, it's already soft, so I'm going to melt it. I've got about a stick of butter, so I'm going to take half and melt it for the batter. And I happen to have this cute little copper pot, which is perfect. But you can certainly use any saucepan. And I'm going to use the other half for the sauce that we'll make later. So it's not going to take long to melt this butter. And be careful, we don't want to boil it, we just want to melt it. So I've turned the fire off and I'm just going to melt the rest of the butter, because the thing about copper is it does hold heat, so I don't need the fire to remain on. My butter is cooling. I'm going to whisk my eggs. And if you're like me, you take off this little goopy white part, what I think we call the eye of the egg. I always take that out before I whisk. Get a good whisk. And my butter is still warm. I don't want to scramble them, so I'm going to go ahead and add my milk first, which will further cool everything. And then I'm going to add my butter, my melted butter. It may remind you of American pancakes, but it's a lot thinner. The batter is going to be a lot thinner, a little bit more delicate. So that's what the difference is. Going to add my half a cup of sugar, and you can also add a pinch of salt. So as you know, when you have a pinch of salt, it often brings out the flavor. And I'm also going to add some vanilla, teaspoon of vanilla. And this is pure vanilla extract, no corn syrup added, McCormick. But you certainly use whatever vanilla you have available. And then we're going to add some orange. Of course, wash your oranges really well, especially if they are not organic. So if you're going to use the rind, you're better off using organic oranges with no pesticides or wax on the orange. Batter. And it's going to give it a very fragrant, fruity flavor. Now I'm going to add our flour. And again, remember I told you the batter should be a lot thinner than your typical American pancake batter. Mix that well. Wow, it smells so fruity, so orangey. And I'm going to give you what my mom used to make. The thing about Crepe Suzettes actually is that it's a flamboy, meaning you're supposed to, or flambe, you're supposed to add alcohol to the actual sauce. But of course we were kids, my mom did not use alcohol on it, so I'm not going to use alcohol on it. But when you want the drama of what you see in a restaurant in England, you would add alcohol and burn it off the sauce. And I'll show you what I mean when we get to that point. Okay, I think our batter is good. I don't think it's too thick. Let's make our crepe, or crepe. Crap. My mom, I remember, she had a hard time saying crepe. She was saying crap, and she kept swearing that she was saying crepe. We are going to be making crepes. So I got some butter in a very shallow pan, perfect for our crepes, and I'm going to put this on low because this won't take too long to heat up. I'm going to need a ladle or ladle. Have a plate ready to collect your crepes, and because this is a non-stick pan, I'm not going to use metal, so I prefer to actually cook with wooden utensils, wooden or bamboo utensils. So I couldn't resist. I'm going to break off a piece of the edge and taste it, because you want to make sure your batter is perfect. It is so delicious. You can even see the tiny pieces of rind. It just gives it a very orange flavor. So this, without any of the syrup, tastes so delicious. And it's not overly sweet. It's not heavy. It's just sort of this light, delicate crepe. Great for fall. All right, crepe number 2. How we doing? You see, I didn't have to add more butter. I already had some in there. Let's flip it. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, this one looks even nicer than the first one. Just some little tips here. Obviously, when you can see the batter that is not cooked, when the batter starts to get nice and crispy like this stack here, then you know it's cooked. So try to make sure it is well cooked into the center. All right, so we got our last crepe. Let's work on making the syrup. So you're going to need several oranges. In this one, I'm going to actually juice. This is the one I zested. It feels so soft. We're going to use this for the juice. So if you, depending on how many people you have, that's probably how many oranges you're going to use. There's several of us, about 4 at this moment. So I'm using about 6 oranges. Anyway, so you're going to make some juice and make sure you don't use any seeds. It's always nice when you have the right tools, right? So yeah, this makes this easier to get the juice. Or if you wanted to cheat, you can buy store-bought oranges and cut down on the work. But we like to make things from scratch. Okay, we have our fresh squeezed juice. And to the fresh squeezed juice, I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of that rind that I had previously grated. And that's just going to intensify that orange flavor. I happen to like pulp, but I'm here with my son and he thinks that we should go ahead and strain the juice. So we're going to strain it. It's interesting because I'm going to go ahead and add the orange pieces, but okay. So now all we have is juice, orange juice, and a little bit of water. Sit for a minute, and we're going to peel this orange because to make it a little bit more extra va-va-voom, we're going to add some orange pieces to it so that our syrup is not just, you know, a thin syrup, it's actually orange pieces. Or you can use a spoon, honestly, to scoop it out, but the whole point is try not to cut it into too many tiny pieces. So for our orange syrup or orange sauce, we're going to have our fresh squeezed orange juice, or if you wanted to cheat, you can just get orange juice from the store. And I have the fresh orange pulp that I removed, or the orange pieces without, you know, without the skins, and the rest of the butter, and about a cup of sugar or less depending on how much you want to sweeten it. So in the same pan that I made the crepes, the shallow pan, wide shallow pan, we're going to add the butter, the rest of the butter. This is truly a very rich, I guess, rich dessert or rich dish. That's very typical of English people who love their butter. All right, so warm up that butter with the sugar. So you do want this to come to a little bit of a bubble, and the sugar should be fully dissolved. All right, we got our little brownish color. And now we're going to go ahead and add our orange juice. All right, we have been cooking our orange sauce for about 5 minutes with the butter and the sugar. I'm going to add the orange pieces, fresh orange pieces to this. And you're going to let it kind of heat up without crushing them. That's the whole beauty. And this gets them nice and hot and bubbling. And then while it's in the syrup, you fold it. All right, that didn't fold too good, but you get the gist. And then you fold it in 4 or into a quarter, like so. And then now this is nice and bubbling hot. Then you put it on your plate. So right before you would have done this, if you are going to add alcohol, you would have added the alcohol to it. So I'm going to do that again. Put it in a hot, boiling orange syrup. Let's give it a nice bath. Let's warm it up. Get all that orange infused into it. Fold it in half. Yeah, that came out good. Fold it again. Like that. And out you go from your hot bath. Okay, and spoon on the hot orange syrup. Beautiful. And on a cold fall day, that just hits the spot. Ooh, it's got it Got it, get it, get it.
Keep adding words.
Rude. That's about all I'm gonna get from Mariam.
He wants a taste. I had to taste it. Couldn't wait. All right, so we got our orange pieces and our crepe and my sweet orange sauce, and this is just garnish on the side.
Okay. It so reminds me of my childhood. This is where the sweet tooth started. Dunk it in the sauce. Do my little happy dance.